If you've built an online community somewhere less than ideal, like Facebook groups or WhatsApp group, or maybe you've been hodgepodging Zoom links and Luma calendars and Google Docs together, if that's you, then you're likely fed up with all of these scattered systems that don't talk to each other. If you're building a new community, you want to do it right the first time. You don't want to invest all of your time, energy, and more importantly, your members' energy into building one home only to have to switch and lose people 9 months later. In this video, I'm going to give you the skinny on the two most popular all-in-one community platforms my clients build on, Circle and Heartbeat, so you can decide for yourself and build it right the first time. If we haven't met yet, my name is Bri Leever, CEO and Community Strategist over at Ember, where we help coaches, consultants, and creators build and grow thriving online communities. Hit subscribe to get my hot takes and the best strategy for building online community. Over the last 5 years, I've built and supported over 55 communities for clients on Circle and Heartbeat. I'm a certified expert with both, and it's safe to say I know a thing or two about these two community platforms, how it feels to build on them, but also where they take your community in the long run. I can also tell you a thing or two about the competitors that my clients have migrated away from, but that's for another video, so check out this full series of community platform comparisons. Most importantly, I can tell you what headaches you're going to run into 3 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. Think of me kind of like your community platform palm reader. I can just tell from your aura what community platform is going to be right for you. This video is a little longer, but I promise every minute you spend watching this video is going to save you hours, if not days, if not months of headache down the road if you do not make the right choice. So stick around to the end to hear which platform I chose to build my own community on and which platform my clients have built most frequently on. Before we go any farther, we have to define what I mean by all-in-one community platform, because you're going to hear me say that a lot. I define an all-in-one community platform as one centralized home for the 3 pillars of community programs: conversation, content, and events. Courses go in content. You should be extremely cautious of any tool that tells you they are even more all-in-one than how I have just defined all-in-one. Looking at you go high level. So what does exist is a really robust all-in-one community platform. Once platforms start promising that they are your community, your CRM, your email service provider, your video streaming platform, your storage, everything, that doesn't exist. And if it does, it's a pretty shitty product across the board. What does exist, and there's actually quite a few options, is the all-in-one solution for your community purposes. For the full list of the top 5 platforms I come across most often, check out our complete platform comparison guide with the link in the comments. But today, we're going to focus our energy on the 2 platforms I have built most often over the last 5 years. Let's start with what I don't like. And we're going to kick off with Heartbeat. Of the 3 pillars of community programs, events, conversation, and content, Heartbeat absolutely nails events. The 2 that leave me a little bit wanting are conversation and content specifically. Conversation is pretty good. The UX is really nice. It's easy to use. It's easy for your members to engage. My only critique with the conversation element of their features is that there's no topics. So you really are forced into more of a Slack style list of channels for people to be able to organize information more easily. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, there are thriving communities on Slack that use that same format. However, I've found in these all-in-one community platform environments where Slack is just exclusively conversation. So it feels overwhelming. There's a lot of channels, but that's okay because that's really all that it is. In these all-in-one community platforms like Heartbeat and Circle, it's not just conversation. So to have like an overwhelming conversation space can really lead to even more overwhelm in the long run. So I wish they had topics to help sort conversation and make it easier to find what you need, but it's not a deal breaker for me. Docs, on the other hand, is their content organization feature, and I'd give it like a C+. It exists. You can list like event libraries. You can integrate the docs with a Notion page, so that can be nice. But overall, the UX is just kind of lacking. It's a little bit clunky to use. You can have like sub pages within docs, so that's nice, but generally I think it's just like their least sexy feature. Let's move on to Circle. I have two main complaints when it comes to Circle. One is that they really do nickel and dime you. If you are going to be using it in Circle, that means you are going to be paying for it. So just be prepared to upgrade. And I usually recommend to my clients that you be prepared to at least invest in the business plan with Circle, because there's two features that come with the business plan that you'll likely like really feel the need for, and that's their API and the custom profile fields. The second bummer about Circle is while they've done a pretty good job of maintaining the member experience in the platform, the admin experience on the back end has gotten quite confusing. They've like really grown in the last couple of years. There's been a massive push for new features. And with this, there's just like, you can just tell there's been some confusion even around like, what do we call things? And like, where should they go and under which settings do they make sense? For someone like me who's been using the platform for 5 years, I can like tell how they've layered over the settings. But for somebody just coming in, I do think it's a very confusing experience. So you just have to be really ready for that learning curve, or to invest in a resource so that it's not so painful. Next, we're going to talk about areas where Circle and Heartbeat are comparable. And I want to start with the mobile app. Heartbeat just did a facelift and it is vastly improved. Both of these apps, I don't hate them. I don't adore them. They're easy to use. If your community is mobile first, definitely test this out and join a few communities to see for yourself. But I wouldn't say that either platform has made a concerted effort to make their tool completely mobile first. The second comparable feature is courses. Both have pretty good course features, but one thing to keep in mind, especially if your community is education centric, is that these are community platforms with learning management system features. They're not learning management systems. One thing I do really like about Heartbeat's setup for their courses is that you can create an assignment to ask like a reflection question or a long form answer. And when the student submits, it actually feeds that post into a conversation channel so that other students can see it in real time, rather than letting those reflection questions kind of get buried in the comments of a course and nobody ever sees them. Circle, on the other hand, has quizzes, but they don't have like long text answer boxes unless you are leaving a comment in the lesson, which just gets buried in my opinion. Let's move on to what I love about each of these platforms. So I'm going to start with Heartbeat and where I think the situation is better for a community builder to choose Heartbeat. Heartbeat, hands down, gets the award for the best support for events-centric communities. Their event features, I have yet to see better event features in any online community platform. And this is really their sweet spot. They started with a core emphasis on events, and especially recognizing all of the labor that is involved in managing events well, and they've built their features accordingly. The only exception to that statement is their native video streaming, which Circle has, in my opinion, better native streaming. But I don't necessarily count this against Heartbeat because they play a lot more nicely with integrations to other tools like Zoom. And if you have been in the Heartbeat customer community, you know their customers love their Zoom integration. Their Zoom integration will automatically create a new Zoom room for you. When the event is recorded through Zoom, it will automatically post the recording to the event card once the event is done. They have feedback features that automatically send emails to ask for feedback. And my personal favorite, even within a fully private community, you are able to, they have a feature for events where you can make an event open to the public. You can make it free to the public. You can charge non-members and make it free to your existing members. So there's just a lot, and it's super easy to use on the admin side, and it is super clear and easy to use externally for your members. So one of the kind of cornerstones of this decision, and what I talk with my clients about when we're making this decision for them, is do you plan to use events as an active lead generator to your community? So are you planning to have events that are both hosted inside of your community, but then occasionally have events that are free or paid for a small fee and available to the public? If so, Heartbeat's UX is superior to any other community platform that I've seen. Circle, on the other hand, if you are going to host public events in your private community, it's like kind of a tricky workaround. Your entire community technically has to be set to public. And then you have to create a public event space and a private event space. So anytime that you're wanting to isolate the audience of who has access to this event, you actually have to create an entirely different space, which really over time, especially if you have more cohort models, can really rack up the number of spaces pretty quickly. It's not a confusing UX on the member side because you can make those spaces secret and they won't even see them if they're not a part of the group that that space pertains to. But for you, it's like it gets to be a lot to manage. And once you need more spaces, guess what? You get to pay more money. My other beef with Circle's events mechanics is when someone from outside of your community clicks to RSVP to a public event. If it's hosted in Circle, Circle requires them to set up an account, which it just gives me the ick. Like, it's a tiny UX choice that has a really big impact. And here's why. When someone joins your community, especially if your main offer is a paid private community, we want the moment that they are entering into that space, the official moment they're creating the account, they're walking through the doorway. We want that to be a moment of commitment. We don't want it to be like, oh, wait, I thought I was RSVPing to an event, but now I have an account, but I can only see one space. Am I in the community? Am I not in the community? It just creates this like blurriness that I don't like. I like to keep those boundaries and that commitment of like when someone joins the community, I like for it to be really intentional and not accidental. The other reason I adore Heartbeat is because they play really nicely with other tools. And this is something that I honestly didn't really catch as a core difference between Circle and Heartbeat for the first several years. And it's only now kind of unfolding for me what the implications are down the road. Heartbeat's posture to their tool is they're more of, they want to become like the marketplace of community platforms. So akin to Shopify or WordPress, where they want to have the basic framework and structure and features, but then they're also inviting in their long-term game plan developers third-party tools to build on top of their platform. So if you don't love Heartbeat's one-on-one matchmaking tool for your members, you can opt in for and pay a small amount for a third-party plugin app tool that has the exact niched features that you need for your community. Circle, on the other hand, does not play nice with other tools. You don't even get their API until you pay for the business plan. And they don't, like Heartbeat already has like plenty of native integrations with Zoom and Google Calendar and Notion. Circle has none of those. So where we're at in this moment of time is people look at Circle and they're like, oh, it has more comprehensively and like all together the features are maybe a little bit more optimal or like kind of align with what you need. They have a bigger team, they have more funding, so it's like they're able to roll out all of this stuff right now like more quickly than a competitor like Heartbeat. My prediction and what I think is going to happen in the long run is that once Heartbeat has a little bit more time to get established, they're going to far exceed Circle because they're in it to play like the collaborative game. Like they're inviting third party users and creators to develop tools for their platform and they don't have to build every single thing. Whereas Circle is giving a little bit more of like my precious vibes. So that's kind of a cynical outlook. And I don't want to come off like hating on Circle because I really think they have an amazing vision and I love their team and they've built a really phenomenal tool. But if you look at kind of philosophically where each company is headed, it might help you align a little bit better. You might be willing to incur a little bit more risk in the short term for a company like Heartbeat, knowing their long-term vision is like collaborative and really robust versus you might need just the confident choice right now with Circle, knowing that they can deliver exactly what you need and you'll trust them to build the features that you need in the future. I call Heartbeat the best investment for early stage communities that can still scale as you grow. People who tend to build on Heartbeat are coaches, solopreneurs, a lot of spiritual groups, a lot of health groups, lifestyle, hobbyist communities. I've noticed these are all in Heartbeat, but it doesn't mean there's not brands, there's not educational like curriculum, there's virtual schools on Heartbeat. So there's a pretty diverse range of communities being hosted on Heartbeat. Finally, let's talk about where Circle shines. So, Circle was created as a conversation centric tool. Circle was built for asynchronous conversation, long form written content. One of the main things I love about Circle is their just design and UX. If your community needs to feel more professional or refined, look to Circle. People who choose Circle will call Heartbeat like too soft or too cozy or feeling too informal. But people who choose Heartbeat will call Circle like a little bit more sterile and feeling like kind of cold. Circle definitely has better search functionality for Heartbeat. So when it comes to your community becoming a knowledge base, and especially that flow of conversation becoming a knowledge base of content, I think Circle's features lend itself much better to this, including once you get their, I think it's their pro plan, you get AI agents as well. And that feature can be really useful for helping your members find what they need when they need it. I call Circle the confident choice you'll pay and never need to leave. So with that, there's like a certain amount of confidence, of assurance. They're an established company. They have an amazing team. They have, you can not only start a totally new community. Circle is probably the best choice for migrating communities that have thousands of members. If you need, Heartbeat has a custom like white label app, but Circle has like an entry level white label app option, and then they have Circle Headless. Their ability to scale into a sophisticated enterprise community product is like really impressive. So if you're looking for a confident choice today that you know can host your community today and will be able to grow with it tomorrow, Circle's a fabulous option. People who tend to build on Circle are where Heartbeat maybe attracts coaches. I like to say Circle attracts more consultants. It's more, again, it kind of lends itself with that vibe of being a little bit more professional, a little bit more refined. Brands build brand communities on Circle, so you'll find free communities that are supporting customers on Circle, but their bread and butter really is paid communities. And I've found where Heartbeat really has the sweet spot with events centric communities and communities that are using events to attract new members. Circle's sweet spot is with newsletters. So they've built out a whole like email marketing hub to be able to have people like opt in to be in your Circle newsletter. I caution people with their expectation with this because if you're currently hosting your newsletter somewhere like Kit or MailerLite, you're going to have a lot more functionality with a tool that's a dedicated email service provider than a community platform that has like good email features. So you have to be a little bit cautious with that. But generally, I'd say that Circle is really posited if you have like a free newsletter and that's like where you warm people up and nurture them to join your community. Circle definitely has a better infrastructure for that setup. The moment you've all been waiting for, which platform did I choose to build my community on? So even though I have built more communities on Circle, I think my number is like 40, my own community is hosted on Heartbeat. And that's for a few simple reasons. One, we are an event centric space. Events are the bread and butter of what we do. It's where you feel the most connected to our community. It's where the most value is being created. So I knew the functionality was going to make my life so much easier. Secondly, I tend to be the type of business owner who is a little bit more willing to adopt some risk, knowing that I'm going to get more for my money in the long run. So I felt that with Heartbeat, I was able to make a pretty reasonable investment in my community now, knowing that the platform will scale with me, but ultimately I'm getting for the features that I'm getting and the sheer volume of access to tools, like it's really pretty incredible for how little you pay for Heartbeat. To wrap things up, to get the full detailed platform comparison between Circle and Heartbeat, check out the article that's linked in the description. And to see Circle and Heartbeat compared with their top 3 competitors, be sure to sign up to get it in your inbox.